What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern, crypto in the morning. Me and Sam were both live twice yesterday. And I was live 3 times, I think. And we talked about Xen Protocol. We talked about BNBP. We talked about liquidity providing. We talked about Sam Bankman and FTX. So if you want to check out any of those videos from yesterday, go ahead and check them out. But today, what are we going to be talking about? V2 versus V3 liquidity. If you're new-ish or new, this is going to be extremely confusing and make no absolute sense to you. And it really shouldn't make too much sense unless you've worked through it yourself. And that's why I have problems a lot of the times with the guys that don't actually provide liquidity, whether they have a lot of money, whether they've been in crypto for a long time, it makes no difference to me. But if you don't go through and use those V2 protocols and pull in and out of those and see how it works, but then you tell everyone Pulsex is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you ain't never used it. I've used it, and I've used it a lot over the last couple of weeks, months, or weeks more. So I think it's important, the liquidity providing talk, if I'm going to be telling everyone all the stuff that I feel anyway and all the good stuff, and because this is truly what I think is the best stuff on crypto, I'm just going to do it loud and proud. I'm not super worried about what everyone has to say about it. We're talking about adding coins to your stack. That's what it's all about. Adding coins to your stack for free, getting more position in each pool, learning how to provide yield in DeFi, learning about your options. But what we're going to do first before we get into that, because I actually want to sit back and think for a second, because I think the Vitalik video will give us a good baseline of where to start from. Maybe he'll give us a little sneaks on some stuff like this. So me and Sam are first going to react to part 2 of the bankless. What's next? Vitalik Buterin part 2. Is Ethereum a network state? Like, what is it? They ask him, what is Ethereum? What do you feel like these copies, everything, blah, blah, blah. They ask him all this stuff. We're going to get into it, guys. Crypto in the morning, live every single day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Providing liquid. I want to learn how to provide liquidity like GRC. Well, all you have to do is press 3 buttons and own some crypto. So luckily, you don't have to worry. Like, there's 3 buttons to press. You have to be at your computer somewhat actively, and if you're not, then this V2 is probably a better option for you, probably. Like, if you're not going to be at your computer at all or have any versatility. Anyway, I'm getting out of here, guys. 1 minute, 8 seconds, DeFi proof. Guys, I love you all.
You already know what time it is. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. 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 Waiting on phone. Crypto in the morning. Crypto in the morning. Smoking no blunt on my way to the gym. 11 a.m. I'm already tuned in. Got me some hacks and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedron, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that's just in case. GymRatCrypto sent me to show you the way. Crypto in the morning. 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 Crypto in the morning.
Yo, what's good, bro? How you doing? What a crazy day yesterday was. We were on live, like 6 times yesterday? The exciting stuff. We are the ones who are covering this stuff, not saying that other people are not. But when we have something interesting or stimulating or that we think it could provide value to the community, we're just going to go live and try to help as many people as possible. We talked about a bunch of great stuff, but today I think something that's going to be really valuable for a lot of people is the second part of the show where we talk about LP really in depth, right? V2 versus V3. There's a big difference that we're going to talk about between those two.
And it's not something that Richard Hart loves to scream in our face, the difference between the two things, because you'd think he would. Like if it was something that he thought more people understood or were driving with, or if it was, because at the end of the day, we want V3 liquidity, we want V4 liquidity, we want V5 liquidity. We don't want V2 liquidity providing. We don't want single-sided staking that gets diluted, and then there's just a coin on the end of it that dumps, but it still does well. I mean, the coin always will do well because people will buy it, but that's not the point. The point is it's just another useless dumper token when you could be earning fees in the two tokens that you actually like a lot the most.
I forgot my mic. Let me move.
You're good. All right. So we're going to get straight into this video. And I just write down any questions you have, Sam, or just tell me to stop the video. Let's try to see where Vitalik is at right now. Part 2, guys. This was dropped yesterday. So let's see how many people have had the right. Only 8,000. God damn, people are so stupid. God, they can't even find this dude on the internet. This dude's scam live streams get 35,000 people a stream to give away 10 ETH or fake bullshit or whatever. But his real streams where he talks about the network state get 8,000 views. So that's what I want you guys to tell. We're new. We're early. It's new. No one's watching the leader yet. Like no one's watching the guy that started everything. Like 8,000 views in 2 days. What? I've done better.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. We're watching on YouTube and their primary platform is podcasts. So
it is Bankless primary. They have 180,000 subscribers. That's pretty good.
But I bet they have like tens of thousands, if not hundreds, probably tens of thousands.
You're right.
On podcasts.
Damn it, you're right. That's why we have friends, guys, because I'll assume stuff and then forget. So let's play this. They ask him about a lot of really good details. If I skip, just know that I've watched this video before, so I probably have a little insight when it's going to get a little. So I'm going to get to the parts that are important. I'm not going to watch 44 minutes of action, but I want Sam to stop. We'll probably watch this for 13 minutes combined. So let's get this going.
We move from kind of the technical layer, I want to talk about maybe a bit more the social layer and moving from engineering to some of the softer sciences like philosophy and maybe political science here. And I think one question that we're left with Ethereum is, okay, what is this thing that we have built so far? There is this notion, I know you're familiar with it, of the network state, rather. And this is a concept most recently put forward by Balaji. He was on the podcast as well recently. And we asked Balaji, who's been a long time in crypto, of course, from the very beginnings, do you think that the network state is kind of the main thing that the crypto project is focused on? And his answer was, yes, absolutely. That's what we are doing. Money is just a subset of the network state. I'm curious your perspective on this, Vitalik, and I know you have thoughts, but let's talk about Ethereum first. Do you think Ethereum is an example of a Balajian network state or a network state of some other conceptual framework?
I would say no. I think Ethereum has a very important role to play in network states, but I would say Ethereum is like a bit of a higher layer thing. And the reason why I would say that is that at this point, the Ethereum community has grown very, very big, very diverse, very pluralist in a lot of ways. And one of the things that means that it sacrifices is definitely an assumption of alignment on a lot of issues that people really care about, especially on non-crypto related topics, right? Like I think if you look at, even Bitcoin 10 years ago or even Ethereum 8 years ago, and you asked a question of what do you think the right federal minimum wage is? Or what's your view on how healthcare should be provided? Or, what's your perspective on immigration or, who's right in some geopolitical situation? 10 years ago, you would have gotten a lot more alignment. And I think these days you're going to get less alignment on those kinds of issues. And I think that's an inevitable part of the ecosystem growing. And it's also a healthy thing, right? Glenn loves to use the phrase like facilitating cooperation across difference. And to me, facilitating cooperation across difference is definitely part of what both blockchains and a lot of the equipment on blockchains is going to be about. One probably just a very concrete example, just to kind of dive like very briefly into the weeds before we dive back out of what I'm talking about, is the whole ENS Brantley situation, right? Like that was something where people within the Ethereum ecosystem who are passionate Ethereans and who have .eth names, they did have very different perspectives on that situation that they care deeply about. And I think it's a testament to the Ethereum ecosystem and even to ENS itself that we were able to navigate that, and even navigate like pretty close to a 50-50 split, I think, in the ENS DAO's decision of like whether or not Brantley should be fired, right? Without that really turning into like a big schism that breaks Ethereum altogether. But
and to refresh people with the Brantley situation, Brantley had some controversial comments. What was it at the time that a subset of the Ethereum community disagreed vehemently with? And yeah, any other light on that for folks that weren't familiar with the current event as it happened in Ethereum world?
Yeah, I mean, like he basically has kind of traditional religious views on topics like homosexuality and like those kinds of topics that are like, I mean, definitely extremely out of step with especially people who have a more left-leaning ethos.
And what was the outcome?
So the outcome was that there were a lot of calls to basically fire Brantley or cancel him for various meanings of that term, and I think he did end up getting pushed out of.
I think some of what you're saying, Vitalik, is that Ethereum is almost like too credibly neutral to become a Balajian network state. Like it doesn't have strong enough opinions. It's kind of like asking the internet to become a network state. Well, what is the internet? It's a whole bunch of tribes coming together to interact. So, but maybe so if Ethereum itself is not a network state and can't become one, it doesn't have a social fabric that has enough coherence, I suppose, around a particular set of values, other than being decentralized and being credibly neutral itself, then is Ethereum a substrate for spawning other network states on top of?
I think absolutely. And I think Ethereum, like it absolutely is still both a substrate and a home for a lot of different sub-communities that do have these much more detailed and opinionated visions of the kind of world that they want to see. And like, I do think that Ethereum to some extent does sort of structurally have some opinions, in the sense of like, if you're a person that really does believe in the World Economic Forum vision of a cashless society, then like there's just much less for you that Ethereum can offer, right? So I do think that, there is some extent to which Ethereum as a thing has values baked into it, and there are values that are shared by like that are much more shared by the Ethereum community than by the world as a whole, right? But I think the right level to try to make some of these more opinionated visions come to life is by things like sub-communities that are close to Ethereum and that are even proud of their alignment with Ethereum, but they do sort of recognize their distinction from Ethereum itself, and so that do sort of both give permission to people for people to still be Ethereans, but at the same time not liking their vision, and also by doing so kind of give themselves the freedom to like really have these like stronger moral commitments without fear of kind of offending people by speaking for Ethereum as a whole, right? So like I would love to see multiple Ethereum network states. I would I think within the network state concept, like there is a lot of room for the like some kind of concept of kind of coordinating layers between network states in general, right? Like I do think that once there are multiple network states, they are going to have some common.
So he said once there are multiple network states, kind of acting like there aren't already multiple network states. Like maybe he's just kind of talking about Ethereum network states, but we all know that. Let's hear what he has to say here, because he's not a dummy. He knows what the miners are doing. He was the first one to publish an article about the miners and how they were going to fork everything. So, Sam, you know what I'm saying?
So I think that, I mean, I don't know how you think about it, but I think that people who use Ethereum, they think of like Ethereum is the thing, and then there's all these peripheral things like Cardano, like Solana, like, you know, anything else that you would use, and it's almost like, well, you can go to the real thing, which is Ethereum, or you can go to these other things, right? That it's not explicitly said, like people are not fucking actually saying those words, but that's how people's behavior comes across. But now we have Ethereum W and Ethereum F. Right. So we do have everything that's on Ethereum in two different places. And it's not like
and he might already have known that.
Correct.
Video. So I would say when this video, there's no way in his, I already sniped the bottom. So before he made this, so he's smarter than me, and he knows all the mining stuff, and I don't. So imagine how much information he had on this, how many miners were texting him that he's been friends with for years and years and years and years and years and years and years since he was just fucking 18 years old. And so just remember that, guys. This dude, this is his whole life. He is a robot to a degree. Like me and Sam and some other people, we are extremely focused on one thing. So we kind of understand where he comes from when he does that. Like blocking yourself out from Binance and stuff would make sense if you were a competitor. Like if you would just want to keep pushing, because this dude's pushing hard, changing the world. He's in first place, in my opinion, because he invented the base layer, you know, like come on. So let's keep it going. I want to see if he has any touching. I think he does too. I can't exactly remember what he says.
Interests that just have to do with the fact that they're all network states. Kind of coordinating layers between network states in general, right? Like I do think that once there are multiple network states, they are going to have some common interests that just have to do with the fact that they're all network states. I think there might even be value in co-locating some of them beside each other, for example, so that they can interact with each other, but without literally being part of the exact same turf. And the sort of the high levels of alignment that come out of something like that. And I think Ethereum can be part of the alignment layer, but there's probably also room for other kinds of alignment layers between different network states as well. So it'll be interesting. I think we'll see how that whole vision is going to evolve. I mean, I think just basically saying that network states are something that should be free to be more opinionated is something that's probably even going to just create a better world, because we'll get more interesting visions that will try to use the concepts to be able to do more.
When we talk about the World Economic Forum and Ethereum, we're comparing like the value systems of these two like poles, right? But I think it's fair to say that the World Economic Forum is very like opinionated, and it's very like political, and Ethereum is designed to be this credibly neutral platform. And I think perhaps it's a fair take to say that the reason why we can't really find much room on Ethereum for the World Economic Forum is due to that difference, right? Like we can't really find a way to include the WEF's values on our credibly neutral social settlement layer. There's just like not room for them to appear. And so when we talk about other network states or other political systems that do find good ways to inhabit space on Ethereum, and maybe there's
honestly, Vitalik's thoughts on globalism, not my favorite. So I want to talk more about Ethereum. Is Ethereum a DAO, and what are DAOs? This is extremely important to me, this topic in particular, and this is a topic that no one is paying attention to. They're excited about Pulsechain, they're excited about the sacrifice, they're excited about the major face melting gains, but it's important to remember about centralized factors as well. And this is something that I'm learning about as I go too. I'm not going to be in the DAO credibility line. So, I just want to learn about it, make sure that it's a good investment.
I think these are all fascinating things, and like obviously, why even the social science side of this crypto movement is maybe in some ways more interesting than the technology side. But you're talking about the semantics of words like globalism and how that's changed. I also think the semantics behind words in crypto have changed. So take the word DAO. That used to mean something different than what it means today. And I would even say a year ago, it meant something different than it does today. You wrote a post, which I read yesterday, I was quite fascinated with. And the title of that post was, DAOs are not corporations. And I think you were responding to a new kind of concept, or I guess thing that's been in vogue recently, which is the idea that all DAOs that we have on Ethereum and other crypto networks should get their shit together a bit more, should get a bit more organized, should nail down a structure, and should start to resemble more corporate governance. I think you push back on that claim, and you think that some DAOs maybe are fit for corporate governance, but others should be more public, should be more inspired by the political scientists and the political science that we have. And maybe that's the lens of Ethereum. We'll start there, back to what is this thing called Ethereum? Is Ethereum a DAO? And like, what actually are DAOs? Should they be managed corporately, or are there new governance systems that we're unlocking here?
It's a good question. I mean, I think we haven't really even fully defined the term DAO, as some of the examples in that post go into, right? Like, there's this sort of vague notion among a lot of people that a DAO still should be this kind of logically centralized singleton where money goes into one place and there's a global vote on every funding decision. And that's clearly just a bad model. And it's a model that probably doesn't even give people what they want out of DAOs. And then there's this alternative architecture that's kind of inspired by what Ukraine DAO is doing, where you have the core that makes these decisions, but then you have pods, and pods have a much higher level of autonomy. And that seems like something that actually like gives people more of what they want out of decentralization. So, and like obviously Ukraine DAO is not the only one. Like there's also Vita DAO, which is doing life extension research. There's all of the various DAOs that are trying to like run long-term pieces of infrastructure. So, Reflexer for Rye, Maker for MakerDAO, Kleros, then Optimism retro funding, and all of these things. So I hope that we're going to learn a lot from these examples. I hope that a couple of years from now, we're going to have like some much better models of what a good DAO looks like. And once we learn from them, then would the Ethereum Foundation be able to become a DAO based on that kind of model? We'll see. I guess that was one of those things that's also been a dream from close to the beginning. And then Optimism, obviously, very DAO controlled. Like, what other DAOs we're going to see within the Ethereum ecosystem? I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Why don't DAOs just all operate with a corporate governance structure? I mean, there is the argument, Vitalik, that we have baked out corporate governance over the last 200 years. We've made it pretty efficient. There's a CEO, there's an executive team, there's a board of advisors. There are these governors that keep them in check. These are called shareholders, and it works pretty well. Like all of the products that we experience in our modern world were brought to you by corporation, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody on the S&P 500 went and created this, and so these joint stock ownership companies with the corporate structure works pretty well. Isn't a DAO just trying to mirror that, or is there something different here?
That's a good question. I think there's two arguments that I have against that line of thinking, right? Well, one of those, actually three arguments, right, in the post. Like, one of them is that some things require censorship resistance, and corporations are not good at censorship resistance. Another one is that corporations are good at building products, but they're less good at providing infrastructure, right? So, like, for example, social media companies have completely failed at satisfying people's desire for some notion that like the content decisions that they're making are fair, right? And that's the sort of thing that DAOs might actually be better at than traditional forms of corporate governance. And then a third one is this the fact that like, well, actually corporations are designed around the idea that they're second order organizations and they can appeal to first order courts when something goes wrong, right? Like like you can 51% attack a company, right? And like potentially 51% of the shareholders could try to vote to kick out the other 49%, but that is explicitly illegal, and the mechanism that enforces that is itself a ultimately the government that enforces shareholder laws, right? And so if we're going to build a DAO, then the DAO has to include all of that functionality that's normally provided by nation states by itself. And corporate.
Good point to pause there, because I wanted to make
Please.
on the corporate governance, right? So what the guy in the top left corner was talking about, right? You have CEO and chairman, you have a board of directors, you have different stakeholders, right? You have shareholders of the company, which have a financial interest. You have customers, which are the people who use the product and or service. And then you have like suppliers, right? Who are the ones who are providing the widget, the material, the XYZ to make the thing run. But I see things a little bit differently when this and what Vitalik mentions, because in the traditional sense of legacy, if you compare a DAO to a corporation, I can own the corporation without using it, right? Whereas there's a much closer tie with DAOs where using the actual protocol for whatever it is and owning the protocol, versus the customers are over here in this group and they tend to not have any financial interest in legacy, right? They don't benefit when the company does better. There's zero benefit from it. And the people who do benefit are Wall Street, right? So they're different parties. And why do you think you come up to issues if you have discrepancy between different parties, right? But now what happens if they are better aligned because of a DAO, right? So the customers are also the owners. You're going to get a better result, right? It's like, that's why everybody who works at Tesla, this bad example, but everybody who works there is also a shareholder of the company, right? They own shares in the company. They can buy discounted shares in the company as soon as they start there. So you have this going on, and it's not something. I think that's like the biggest shift there. I think that is not fully understood yet. We don't know how this is going to play out exactly, but I do see companies shifting to this version, this new business model, because it better aligns.
It's easier to get like 20, 30 guys to have the same goal if they're all making a lot of money on it too. Like, so, and then they can like not sell all their shit too, because they all made a lot of money and they kind of know where it's going and they can kind of activate as a unit. And it just reminds me of Legacy Finance 101, like got a bunch of guys in like people are quicker to sell cryptos than they are stocks and dump their it takes a while. Like if you worked at Six Flags for 15 years and you have Six Flags stock up your butt, like there's an emotional attachment to all that. In crypto, it's a little less. It's more like go to Uniswap front end, click here, click there, boom, boom, boom. The assets go up. So it's more efficient. But the system is going to be similar at the end of the day. Like I can't see a world yet until Xen launches where there's a fair distribution in any coin so far. I don't think one that I've ever bought had like you know what I mean? But I don't buy coins because they have fair distribution. Zen's the first one because I watched it from the beginning. I only buy coins that have product market fit and low liquidity up until this point. And Xen does not really have product market fit. Like it's just like a speculative instrument that's going to have product market fit because the team behind it wants it to be reserved, and then they said they're going to build on it kind of once it gets its steam.
What does product market fit mean to you?
It means that there is some hole that it's filling. Like in SHIB's example, like I would say SHIB lacks product market fit. It has great price action. It's done a lot right. The marketing is beautiful. But as far as long-term price action for things that I'm like, product market fit means like I could stake my hex, right? I can earn yield on that hex. That's like why I buy hex, but I provide LP now. But so that kind of
Don't you think that Xen fits that?
Well, yeah, because you could stake it, but I don't. Yeah,
But more so in the sense of like going a step closer to the inflation, right? Because this is the first time I'm also aware of a fair distribution of a token where, 75% of the supply is not held by one person or a team.
What if guys like me can't make enough money on fair distribution?
I don't know. I think
that's what I got to wait to see. Like if I can't get a portion of this pie that I'm comfortable with by going completely aggro and doing everything right, I'll be interested, but I doubt that's the way it'll work. The way I think it'll work is I'm going to wait about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and I'm going to have minted and bought a little bit. But when there's a fat amount of liquidity in there and a supply that has some resemblance of some future supply, I'm going to buy a fuck ton at the bottom. And Trayvon was, I did a show for an hour and 15 minutes yesterday on why I'm planning more focused on the liquidity and providing liquidity, and buying the bottom is more my focus. Having USDC on the sideline is more my focus than, for example, minting on 100 wallets. But again, I'm not also the tech savviest dude in the world. So
do you think that is also, I think that's playing to Xen's advantage, that because of how it's being distributed, Joe Schmo and everybody like that has the opportunity to be a whale, to be the person with the
but you can't be a whale though.
But you can only through the distribution mechanism you just mentioned. Literally go out and buy it.
If there's any competition, you can't be a whale. Like there's going to be too many people and the supply is going to be too diluted. Like unless you can trade everything perfectly and never mess up on anything, in my opinion, because the supply is not, it's being minted. Like it's not the thing about Pulse and the thing about other things. Like I'm excited about Pulse because I'm going to buy so much fucking Pulse at the bottom because it's the whole circulating supply is out. But in Xen, it's different. It makes us wait for a while. I got to wait for like months to even know what kind of position I'm going to have. And I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But in Pulse, I do.
But somebody could go through, because the inflation comes down with Xen, right, over time. So what somebody could do is just be an acquirer, be like, okay, cool. For the next year, this will be the thing that I'm acquiring because they understand what's going on. I have no idea what's going to happen with Xen. It's a super unique model that's, I think, does have a product market fit, and that it's very unique in the sense.
It's not centralized. So if that could be considered product market fit, like the reason and everything on the market, like Nicolo Tesla, it has no utility that is not already on the market. I disagree because
I disagree
there is no fair distribution. 40% of the Bitcoin could be dumped from fucking 20 wallets, literally.
90% of hacks can be dumped, right?
In any moment. And even if you just take the people that have the liquid pools of hex, like not the OA potentially, like they could dump for a long time if they really wanted to, and if they had a new idea, and if they had anything that they wanted to do on their own. So Hedron is pumping and Xen dropping. It's a go. Oh yeah, we'll be checking out the Hedron price at the end of this. Let's do one more section. This is like an 8-minute section, and then we're gonna be done. I'm not gonna watch the AI part because it's stupid.
Maybe let's switch back to Ethereum for a minute and kind of the end game. I guess if using as simple words as possible, Vitalik, how would you describe Ethereum's end state? Like at the end of this long roadmap, the theme of this episode, I think, has been what's next. At the end of all of these things that we've talked about so far of what's next, what does Ethereum look like and what does it deliver for the world?
I think, Ethereum's ethos from the beginning, right, I think has been to insist on a few particular values, but otherwise not have its own picture of like what specific things it brings to the world, but leave that up to the ecosystem and lots of different groups to create their own vision. And I think just having a well-functioning global cryptocurrency is a huge amount of value by itself. Like it's especially valuable to people outside of.
Yeah, so like I kind of want to touch that on for the Xen note. Like he just told you like, yeah, the use case for Ethereum is on paper. It's not exactly, you can't just always write it down. It's like this is because other people do stuff. But what he's saying is
huge-
at the end of the day, and this is what Xen is trying to do. Xen is trying to be the first secure, fairly distributed crypto for mass adoption. So mass adoption being the key word here. Mass adoption being the key word here. And go ahead.
Nikola Tesla. So I wanted to touch on this comment in regards to what you were just talking about. It offers, and this is regards to Xen. It offers no new utility. Let me just go back to that one real quick. It offers no new utility. There is no reason for it long term. Okay, so I get that, and I understand the thought process around there. But that same exact like thought, that same framework you're using, is the same exact framework that people used to talk about the internet 25 years ago. Like I'm not trying to
machines and cell phones couldn't scale, bro.
correct.
I remember cell phones
all of it. We used to use pagers. I used to fucking own a pager. If you want to get a hold of me, you fucking page me.
When I was in 6th grade, I remember people talk. I think it was in elementary school, like early elementary school. It's like 2003, 2002, and they were talking about if the cell phone could scale, and I remember people actually mentioning like, will everyone have a cell phone? And I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, you know, like, but now it's like, of course everyone would have a cell phone. Like, of course everyone would, like, of course no one would have their fax machines anymore. Of course people would not be staking into a smart contract with 100% of their wealth if there was 5 other options.
And you don't know.
But those things always change over time.
Yes.
You know, they change over time. And guys like Jack have scaled products to every human on this earth. He could give you a really, really long lesson on scaling. He really, really could, because he was the 21st employee at Google before they were even making fucking money like that.
And we don't know the utility of this. You don't, like, I've got 3 of these sitting in front of me.
I didn't know it was going to be me making a living on my phone. I didn't know that when I first got it.
Correct. And what you didn't know that you could literally run an entire multi-million-dollar business off of a phone, right? This is the utility. The utility comes along. Think about this. Anybody who works with their hands or knows how to, fix shit with tools and build and stuff like that, I can understand this. If you're working on something and you are doing some type of construction or redoing something, you're going to grab what tools you have available, which means that tool you have available wasn't meant for that utility. And that tool is available to fix that. And you're like, you understand that tool and you understand what you're trying to accomplish. And you're like, this tool can solve this problem, even though this tool was not built to solve this problem. That will be, in my opinion, what happens with Xen. It is a tool that will come out in terms of fair distribution and how it's actually minted, how that's actually going to take place. People are going to see that and then come up with different use cases, come up with different utility. Look at what's happened even in this community with X, right? We have use cases for Hedron. We have use cases for fucking Icosa. We have use cases for Maxi.
But having a fat liquidity asset that everyone has creates use case, guys. It creates use case. It creates building opportunities. It creates use cases to fill, and it creates problems, and it creates answers. And it's just like Hex, except Hex is centralized owned. That's what he doesn't necessarily think long. That's what his opinion is. His opinion is big, fat, loaded Silicon Valley investors are not going to put their money in RH's wallet. And whether he dumps it or doesn't dump it, they're not going to ask, and they don't give a fuck because they're smart. And they know that there's ways around all this shit, and that even if he's helping the world in every single way possible, which he is, they're just not going to do that right as easily as like, hey, there's this Silicon Valley guy who worked for Google, and there's a free mint, and it was the fair distribution, it's Satoshi model. That's an easier avenue. It's not the easiest avenue. It's not like a layup. It's no layup, but it is easier than like, hey, dude, dad, you make 10 grand a week, right? Yeah. Okay, what's up? So there's this guy, Richard Hart, check him out. And my dad said that is the last person I would ever want to see visibly with my eyes ever again. because it physically hurt my father as a blue collar worker because he doesn't know Richard's backstory, even though I told him. Like, he doesn't care. He sees $250,000 watch. He sees $9 million in cars, and that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth. My dad's gonna punch you directly in the fucking face in real life. Like, if somebody came to his house for dinner and was talking about $9 million, he would just be like, get the fuck out of here, bro. This is weird. Like, this is not a show. This is not a game. This is our lives. Like, you know what I mean? So I understand what Richard's doing. He's applying to the masses. But again, my dad makes $10,000 a week. I wish 4,000 of that was going into Hex per week. And I say 10. I don't know what the fuck my dad makes per week. I just say that number. But you know what I mean. So let's get another couple minutes on this, and then Sam, do you have like 20 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Ecosystem and lots of different groups to create their own vision. And I think just having a well-functioning global cryptocurrency is a huge amount of value by itself. Like, it's especially valuable to people outside of the first world, and in places like Latin America, Africa, Eastern Europe, and other Central Asia and other places that have a harder time with the existing financial system. Ethereum being the substrate for DAOs and mechanisms that do other things. So identity is one of the biggest examples. Like, can we create some kind of more decentralized model of identity, and really start with what some of the tools that the Ethereum ecosystem has already, whether it's accounts and hopefully soon social recovery wallets and ENS and like things like Popes, and like try to really optimize that and do what we can to build it into something that's like really good at providing what people want out of an identity system. Like, what would it even being a base layer for DAOs in general? Like, network states are, we just talked about those for 10 or 15 minutes, but like, what would it actually mean for Ethereum to be a base layer for things like that? Things like proof of humanity would have always been one of my favorite applications. Other kinds of censorship resistant applications, other kinds of like credibly neutral and decentralized applications, like could we actually do the whole blockchain based social media thing and try to create social media platforms that are like more credibly neutral and fair in some way? I don't think there is one vision for what Ethereum could do. I think there's many different visions, and I think once Ethereum manages to solve its scaling problems, it's going to be in a much better place to help be the substrate that allows all of those visions to happen.
Arbitrum 1 is pioneering the world of secure Ethereum scalability and is continuing to accelerate the Web3 landscape.
I'm gonna take that down. That's a little ad there. And you want to transition into some LP, and you want to transition into some LP stuff here. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, GRC goes through and changes real quick. Currency is solved since 2017. Everybody is jealous and wants to get in. Some fee earning solution. Yes, it's super interesting. There's so many cool things that are happening right now in crypto. I want to read off a tweet. So this tweet was from yesterday, and this is in regards to V2 versus V3 here. So
I did not know I took my shirt off on camera, guys. That was my bad. I was I was little, and then I turned big, and then it's all good. So what were you saying, Sam? I'm sorry.
No, LP. So I wanted to go through, and you want to read through that? This is what I was tweeting about yesterday.
Yeah. Liquidity is an efficient market in the long run. Will always approximate 50% on either side of the market. Now, if you believe this logic, then what happens when liquidity is not even 50-50? If it tends to roll back to 50-50, right? Kind of like the GBTC premium, like Richard on the bigger scale for the richer guys, they always look at that GBTC premium and they're like, yeah, so let's look, Sam, this is great.
So I drew this out, right? So this blue box you can think of as like the possible sets of ratios, right? You can have a possible set down to 0, like 0.000000, right? So that's this bottom, that's the bottom number right here. And then you can go up to infinity, right? Like 1 BTC for something that's trading like Lunk, right? Or like Luna that's trading at like 17 zeros and a 4, right? That means that there's like a gazillion or basically infinity. So this is how the distribution works for V1, V2 versus V3. V2 you can see here in green, right? So if we let's put something on here as the price. So we'll say that this is the price here in the market. V2 spreads this distribution out all over the place. Remember that tweet that we just read where the liquidity is going to concentrate. It's going to pull together at that midpoint.
If the asset has any strength on both sides, any legitimate strength, which most assets don't, but the ones we deal with generally do.
Correct. Well, and we're going to pull up a real world example of this in a second. What about, say, Wall Street? Where do you think the liquidity concentrated? You don't have to be super duper intelligent to understand that the liquidity concentrated there. And who got to benefit from that? Wall Street did. Because I'm going to show you this. This is what V3 offers. V3 offers this over V2. It allows you to see things that other people cannot see. I was talking to GRC yesterday, and it used the example of driving through a forest. Picture yourself, right? You're in your car. It's in the middle of the night. You're driving through the forest. There's no street lights. The moon isn't out. It's behind clouds. And you don't have any headlights. How quickly can you drive through this forest? You can't see anything. Very slowly, right? Well, that's V2 because you don't know what is going on in the market. You can't see the data. Now, on the other hand, picture yourself in the same vehicle, the same scenario. It's midnight. There's no moon. There's no lights on the street. But now you have headlights. You can drive faster in V3 because you're able to see more data. You're able to see what actually takes place in the marketplace. You're able to understand what is going on versus in V2, you can't understand what's going on. And I want to show you an example because people may not believe this. So we're going to pull up, this is uniswap.fish. This is the calculator for, say, earning fees. And let's just pick a pair that we might know of, say something like ETH and Hex, right? Let's see if this idea that Sam has is plausible in real life. Let's look at the distribution of liquidity. Would you look at that? Look at that, 50% on either side, right? It looks kind of like a bell curve. And remember, the shit I'm talking about, most people don't actually understand. And the few people that do understand, you can see it play out in real life, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't even it takes a little time too, so you can pretty much just watch.
Yeah, correct. And learn.
24 hours, 48 hours, some of these things it doesn't all happen overnight, which is a lot of the reason most people lose all their money in crypto. Because for example, yesterday morning when I bought Hedron, most people can't hold it, even if it goes up 15%, 20%, they just sell it back. And it just causes this constant action by inaction, kind of like, inaction by action. It's like you're doing the wrong thing because you're doing too much. And that's what I see a lot of in crypto, because this really reflects the chart. Like if you get really good at this, you can look at the chart and see the liquidity pool in your head, because it's just those resistance lines, right? And you can kind of extrapolate it. So if you go to whatever this asset is,
I'm actually pulling it up in Dex Screener right now. So
yeah, like once you get good at looking at the charts, and I'm not talking about drawing triangles. I don't draw no fucking triangles, and I'm never going to draw your stupid fucking triangles to tell you it's going to go up or down. I can just tell you it's going to go up or down. So zoom out a little bit, or go to the 4-hour candle.
The 4-hour
top left, and then zoom down. Yeah. So what are we looking at here? Hedron WETH.
Yes, this is Hedron WETH on V3.
And go back to the last resistance points. So like scroll back a little bit. Let's like zoom out a little bit. And then you can see where you see those big wicks right there? All those crazy fucking wicks right there?
Yep, right here.
Right there. Like that's pretty much where the trading action really started, where those wicks are. So anything above that, getting back to above that point, those guys are back in the game. And that's what you're going to see. Like right when we get up to this point, we're going to have some resistance. But if somebody decides to make a big move on it, it's going to blow. And if Hedron on the other chain or Hex on the other chain has any positive price movement, this is all from the price movement of Hedron on the ETH chain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. And when, because of like what's happening with the liquidity that you're able to actually see, let me pull up one more thing. This data is from last night. So before I pull this up, check this out. So we've got $167,000 worth of liquidity in this pair for V3 on Ethereum mainnet. On that pair, $106,000 of that is Ethereum. Okay. So let's put this together in a visualization so that we get a better picture, because this allows us to see the percentage of the pool that is one side or the other side. So this is from last night, this data here. I just took a screenshot over here. Last night it was 180,000.
Go ahead and zoom in on this screen 2 clicks.
It's I'm in this.
Actually, zoom back one. I'll zoom in on my side. Sorry.
It makes it a little bit.
Yeah, my bad. You're good.
Okay.
So cool.
Go ahead. If you have questions, just
let me look at this real quick for my own eyes. So what he's looking at is the liquidity. So there's $180,000 of liquidity, and this is on the ETH chain. So this is on proof of stake, guys. And this is I don't know if this is the most popular pair, but I'm going to assume that it's generally one of the most popular pairs.
Hedron and ETH, right? Pretty popular pair.
Yeah, but I do want to know what the Hedron, I want to know what the highest liquidity pair on Hedron is next time. But anyway.
It pulls up at the top, right? This is when you search.
Yeah. If you click liquidity and if you type Hedron in the search bar, it'll show you the highest liquidity on the first one generally.
And that was this. This was just
okay, cool. So pooled WETH 9119. That's $124,000 of pooled WETH. That means that's how many on the V3 liquidity pool. Guys like me, when you pool 2 assets, you have to put in 2 assets. So this is showing one side of the asset. Now percentage versus USDC, Hedron plus ETH equals liquidity. So this is 31% of the active liquidity right now, rather than 68.89% of the liquidity over there. That means a lot of the guys in this are ETH heavy, and they're just playing probably on their free coins for the most part. And that means that there is a 19% premium for us to get to 50-50, which means that there's a built-in premium for us to have upwards price action. And if you go over to this on Hex, I'm sure it'll show you something much closer to 45-55.
We excuse me. Yes, this is a great point. So we literally just looked at this. Thank you for going through that, GOC. Nicely said. So this right here, right, is the total liquidity in this position here. And you get to see that this is 31% and this is 69%. And that this is the total, which is just this plus this. So that means that, what do we know? That in one way or another, this number is going to go up towards 50 and this number is going to come down towards 50. We just went through that tweet. We looked at the real.
So that's another indicator. What basically Sam is trying to show you guys is that there's multiple ways to know that you're going to be in a bear market for a while. There's multiple ways to know you're going to be in a bull market in a while. And there's multiple ways to tell if one asset is lopsided in value compared to the other. And that's by looking at the liquidity pools, because generally you can see, okay, there's a bunch of dudes with ETH already, and then they're just taking their free side. So they're going to have more ETH than the native asset than the Hedron. And that reflects a little bit in this, because generally the guys that made a lot of money on their free Hedron dumped it.
This is real data. This is actually what's going on in the marketplace. Hedron, it's all lopsided. You can watch my stream last night. I get into a lot more in depth last night on there. If you click on my channel, I can share it in a minute. But you get to see the actual distribution. Hex is evenly distributed, right, on both sides of the market, roughly here. Last night it was in the direct center of that blue thing there. That means about 50% on one side and about 50% on the other side. If you understand markets, right, if it's got product market fit, if it's slightly efficient over a long enough period of time, you're going to get 50% on one side and 50% on the other side. That's how it effing works, right? Why would you go to a place that doesn't have the best prices for you, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense, especially when you work in decentralized world, right? This can service everybody around the planet who uses DeFi, who uses crypto. It's going to shift like this. And we just saw in the basket of V3, Hedron, and Ethereum, it's not even. It is super lopsided. the amount of ETH in that pool is going to either drop or the relation
And
of those two assets.
Is this the hex part? Oh, this is the hex.
This is
part,
hex.
sorry.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing here? You're going to see probably a closer premium, right? Or is it still
Correct.
pretty far
Much
off?
closer to 50-50.
Right, because this is a more stacked pair. But if you saw this thing go to 40%, like you would be like, what the fuck's going on? So again, the magnitude is different due to the volume, but a 10% change in hex or Bitcoin changes a lot for a lot of things. So understand that when things have dense liquidity, they're tied to everything. They're tied up. You know what I mean? So they need a good 10%, 12% move. But you can see that long before reflected on the liquidity chart and the regular chart if you look at it all the time. But don't draw on it. Don't fucking draw on it. There's no reason to draw on it. Don't extend any fucking lines. And I'm not saying for the guys that are super into it, obviously do whatever you want. But for the new guys, if you find yourself all day long drawing lines on charts, you might as well be looking at internet pornography because you're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You're wasting time. You know what I mean? Not saying that, whatever you think about internet pornography, but I think that video games, stuff like that, generally a large waste of time. I'm going to pull up the Hedron price chart. Yeah.
I actually have it up here if you want me to pull it up.
Yeah, pull up the Hedron price chart. And wow.
So this is, again, Hedron on mainnet.
Do the 15-minute candles. And then zoom out just a hair.
This is over the past
probably 2 days.
2 weeks.
The local bottom.
2 weeks. Look at this. This is what, the 30th of September, the 29th of September over here. We've had this go from 0.5029 to 5039, right? So a decent amount of increase. 0.029 divided by 39. But what did you want to say about this chart here?
And just look. Here's a different angle on the chart. Just look. Like, you don't have to be super, super smart. All right. I'll press log so it gets a little easier on the people. I guess we're too tight. So you see all this? You see how this is sloping upward, like over time, like how you could kind of like parabolic kind of rise. That's great to see. You want to see that over the long-term spectrum. You don't want to see the big Gunther candles too often, but you do like to see those really early on. So you see this God candle right here? That's a dude saying, I'm going to make $1 million right now, and that's okay. That's part of the market. But these God candles, you see all this sideways action we have for 200 days. Everyone was like, Hedron dead, dumper token, Alex, biggest moron in history, piece of crap, GRC, why are you shilling this garbage? And then I'm like, finally a good time to buy. Everyone's totally ignorant. This is like when everyone's mad ignorant about Hedron. And I'm buying a little bit here and there, $1 billion for $300, $1 billion for $400. And then you see this run up, and we called this run up 100% because it was too light. There was no sellers left. And now look what we see. We see constant upward, higher highs, good price action. And this is a bullish chart, in my opinion.
I agree. And we're not saying you should trade on these things. You should understand the fundamentals. It's going to be far more powerful for you to make
something I'm more confused on, Sam.
What
is this chart? This chart I cannot catch a beat on yet because I haven't studied enough. This is the Icosa ETH chart. And I just don't know what to expect. And there's just too many factors that I haven't looked into yet. And I wish that I understood them better.
Zoom out to the full, to like
upside wise. What can just give me a quick answer, whether you know it or not, just from your brain. Upside wise, what do you see with Icosa?
Let's see the full picture because I think we're missing a tiny bit. I just want to see the whole thing. Zoom all the way out so we get to see the whole thing from launch. Okay.
Trading action pretty much right here is where you like.
Yeah.
Anything above that, and there was really nothing going on. So.
I mean, I don't know. We wouldn't personally be surprised if there's like a little another step down. And then assuming that like people come together and believe that there is a reason to hold
I think
this.
they believe it already.
You do?
I do. I think I've watched enough videos of really smart people talking about ICOSA at this point. And then there's us on the internet. There's the Hedron group has hundreds of chats going on 24/7. ICOSA group, smartest chat in crypto. You know, like, so what I see, I just want to know numbers wise. Like, that's what I need to get to the nitty gritty on. Like, numbers wise, what are we looking at with ICOSA? And it is a complicated, when the mint phase is starting, it complicates everything. And it makes it like, just like Xen. Like, remember how I'm like, oh, I wish I could just snipe the bottom like I will on Pulse. This isn't so simple. This isn't so concrete because there is some speculative nature to all of this stuff. So, like, the further you go down the line, the harder it is to speculate.
Well, I have some charts I have some data that we could actually take a look at. It might be helpful in this regard. And in terms of the number of holders, right? So if you take a look at this data, right? First of all, let's look at Hex and Hedron here. This is from the end of August up until this morning, right? This is the number of holders on Etherscan, right? And I've been tracking, there's data here in the middle too, but I'm just hiding that data to make it look cleaner. And then you have ICOSA that I started tracking around the end of September. And then you have HSIs, right? This is the number of HSIs that have been sold to the ICOSA contract. Okay, let's take a look at this. If we look at just Hex and Hedron during the past month and a half since I've been tracking this data, you get to see that Hedron, the number of holders, the number of addresses, the number of people holding this is increasing 25 times faster than it is for Hex. Is that bullish or is that bullish, right? Because what do we know about price?
All the people in the chat yesterday and Twitter were like, those are all Hexicans. And I was like, dude, you realize Sam has never bought Hex before? Like, this man right here, okay? This man is a new investor, new-ish investor in crypto. And he has not speculated heavily on Hex at all, but he has taken thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and speculated on Hedron at different parts of the journey. So just take that with a grain of salt, guys. Say if you think Sam's a smart guy, and it doesn't mean he's never going to purchase Hex. That's not at all what that means. It means maybe that Hex was tied down and that there were options that weren't so tied down.
And what do people always talk about? Adoption. What drives price up? Demand. Wait a second. We got to put these things together, right? Because there were some people on Twitter who weren't understanding this yesterday. You have something that is growing 25 times faster. 25 times faster. What do you think the chart is gonna look like? If you pull up the chart, GRC, from the end of August through today with Hedron, right? We get to see it's growing 25 times faster than Hex. Do you think that that's going to translate into price movement? GRC is going to have this.
Anyone who's smart would understand that there's more, just like billionaires are made from swapping tokens. Price action is diluted from other systems, from the people that don't know what they're doing into the more price positive and the more safe asset at certain times in life.
Pull up Hedron.
Whoops.
I just pulled up your screen. I'm sorry. I thought you were. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Hedron USDC is fine.
This one had $3 million in liquidity, Sam.
Yep. So we can take a look at that one as well. Okay, but let's click on it and let's look what's happened since I started tracking this data. Okay, go to August. So you're gonna have to zoom in a bunch, right? And we're going to go to August 28th is when I started tracking this data, right? Because I was like, how do I understand? How do I understand what's going on in the marketplace? Well, if I take a look at how quickly shit's growing, the number of people buying this shit, right, is the number of holders. I could have 6 addresses, but still, it's an aggregate number that is a little bit cloudy because I could have 6 addresses. But you know that if something's going 25x faster than something else, like that's going to translate into the price. Okay. Scroll into August. Look at the bottom. Look at the bottom right there. August. We'll go from August 28th. If you can zoom in a smidge more, right around. There you go. You have August, or I can pull it up. Let me see here. you have a big price difference here. I think I had this up yesterday. Let's put F Hedron. When I search on mainnet, the main coin that comes up here is the one for Hedron and ETH. Okay, I almost have the data up here, and then I can share it. You're muted, I think. Why is this not?
Oh, my bad. I didn't know you were.
Go ahead.
I was looking at it, but you got it now.
Okay, let me pull it up here.
Hedron's holding on from like a thread from price discovery. I'm telling you, it is. It's waiting for 1 or 2 or 3 people, and it's gone. There's nothing holding it now. And there's $2,000 buys, $2,000 sells, $5,000 buys, $5,000 sells. Just wait for someone to make a speculation and eat a little slippage, because they will.
Correct.
Gains Club, no mod. Can we take away Gains Club's mod for some reason? He's solved his. I don't know what he gives. Why you care if you have a mod or not? Having a mod's, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Don't have to do anything.
What are you doing, Sam? What do we got?
I was trying to pull this up, but my thing keeps freezing, so I won't be able to.
All right, well, just tell us about it. It's
Okay.
fine.
So
we've looked at the chart of mine.
You have asked about ICOSA,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think's going on with ICOSA? Right, we understand that the Hedron's growing a lot faster in terms of users. If you look at ICOSA, the number of users in ICOSA is growing faster than the number of users in Hedron, which means it's growing at like a 40x in terms of the number of users. So what do you being the smart person, you decide, right? In this period of time, so it hasn't been that long yet, right? Because I haven't been tracking the data on ICOSA that long, right? But you get to see during this time period, we have a 40% increase, and I haven't even updated it yet. This is going to be like 26, I think, 27. A 57% increase in a very short period of time. What do you think will happen? Because I actually tracked it a little bit earlier. If you open up the chart, what do you think is going to happen if something's growing at 57x in like a relatively short period of time? Right? I started tracking it on this date, on the 8th, right? So it's been about a month, and you have a 57% increase in the number of users. How do you think that plays out in terms of price? You tell me, right? How do you think this is going to play out if you have growth that is accelerating, or you have growth around 50% per month? How do you think the price performance is going to be? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just looking at the data, and I see that there's a tremendous number of users that are increasing in one asset called ICOSA.
Yeah, and
I don't know how
nobody's buying Hex right now. Like
Correct.
The new users are not flooding into Hex. I'm not saying that there's big guys not speculating on Hex, but there is no like FOMO Hex right now. Like there's nothing, and people don't like to buy at the bottom. I do. I like to buy at the bottom. You know, so just guys, if you always, you know, people like Gains Club, they're always going to do this. Don't promote trading. Okay, well, if you don't want to promote trading, you're never allowed to trade your Hex into another asset. Have fun with all your gains. They'll be in Hex forever. And maybe you can buy Hex someday, buy something with it. Probably not. So I'm disappointed from your channel, but I still love you, bro. Well, you should be. My bank account's not disappointed whatsoever. And neither is Richard's. And he's the one who told me all this information. And I literally studied him every day for 3 fucking years. And the first 3 years of Richard's content is literally teaching motherfuckers how to be a billionaire. But then he realized that it's not smart because people don't know how to handle that information. But some of us really don't give a shit about feelings. And I don't care if I lose all my shit. I don't have kids. I don't have shit that I need to deal with. I'm here for fucking mad fucking gains. Mad gains. I don't care if the SEC cares about it. And I'm not saying I want to make a bigger impact in the world. So I'm not just going to sit here and act like every single person that just has a kid and they're just trying to make shit happen. Like everyone's is different. All right. And like how I could stake $100 billion in the Hex for my whole life and the price could dump forever. And then Crypto Gains Club could go to sleep happy. Because like that, literally, that's what it sounds like. It's like, dude, how much Hex do I need staked? You guys tell me the T share is the most rare thing on the earth. Well, I got over 10 of them. So what do I need to do? When do you get to be happy with my channel? How much Hex do I have to stake? How many times do I have to hold the promo underneath? And like, so I'm not worried about, I don't have the feelies. Like if Hedron went to 0, guess what my feelies would do? I'd probably go live and be like, try to make the best of it and try to make my channel grow. Literally, I would just be like, guys, this is happening. Let's cover it. Let's look at it. Like, I want to see it all the way through. I want to make sure we don't do this mistakes again. Yada, yada, yada. I'm just saying Hedron could be anything. But this is a show about learning, not about being a fucking idiot and not changing. If I wanted to not change, I would have stayed at my job making way more money than I'm making now, but it had no scalability. So I wanted to change those. So I had to jump ship and do something else. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to every person who got in the first 300 days who made mad gains. And they're like, well, dude, you can do it too with the exact same method that I did. It's like, yeah, I already fucking did that. I already staked my hex. I already have a turtle's position, whether that's a lot or a little to someone else. I don't care.
And the other point is, like, most of your shit actually is already staked in hex.
Exactly. It's like, oh wait, so I just need to keep. Oh, okay.
To hold the price up for everybody else.
Trading. I want to promote someone else's product for staking, and that's all I want to do. And make sure that you don't really know anything about security before you do it, because then you can lose all your shit. Like I did, $40,000 at the top. Gains Club, you want to send me that? Gains Club, I will only promote hex staking if you send me 40 grand. Seriously though, but like for real, like if somebody wants to, like, man, I really wish I had, these are my opinions. This is my story. Yeah, I lost 40 fucking K like at the top because I didn't know what was going on and I was listening to the Joneses. But I'm a smart dude. Clearly you guys know that now. So I was focused and paying attention, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Okay. I want to do one last 5-minute topic. Xen Protocol, Sam, what do you think? Give the people your take. Xen Protocol coming out in 72 to 85 hours, something like that. What do you think? What do you see? What do you smell? How do you feel?
It's interesting to see the community of people who are excited about it. I think that there's a lot of people who are actually excited. The more they look into Xen, the more they look into the fair distribution. Like, you don't have one centralized player that owns fucking the entire thing. I think a lot of people are excited about that. I think that it also can, directly incentivize people to market for it, which can be valuable. I love that you can build on top of it. I will be buying some. There's a strategy of like getting it at launch if the network's clogged, right? And if, say, fees on Ethereum are $25, does it make sense to do it then, or does it make sense to do it as soon as there's a liquidity pool set up? Even if you can only buy $25 worth, I would bet that you buy $25 more. That is more valuable than going through the actual minting process. Potentially. So I'm excited about Xen. I'm really excited to see what people build on top of it.
Somebody block this motherfucker. Becoming hard to listen to. Then you go listen to someone the fuck else, motherfucker. Hard to listen to. You could go fucking study on your own then. How about that? I'm done. The only reason I get upset is because I'm just living my truth. This is just my truth. I'm not asking anyone else's opinion. I'm not asking Sam before the show, dude, how are we going to say the same thing? None of that shit. This is just how I feel. And I've been successful in other ways before. So I know I'm confident in myself. And I'm not telling anyone to do anything crazy. I'm telling everyone what's going on in crypto. We pulled up the Blackman video and everyone nearly had a heart attack because we were listening to a billionaire have a CNBC interview. Like, what is he going to say on there? What am I going to do to change the tide? I want everyone to be less sensitive, like you don't have to do anything with your money. You don't have to feel stressed out. But if V3 liquidity and sloshing into assets that are primed up and ready to go is something that you don't like, then don't do it. Just don't do it. It takes time. It takes effort. It's a lot, like it's not easy. I don't like, my life is hard. I don't get pats on the back. I don't have time with friends, and it's not because I can't do that stuff. It's because I choose not to. I choose not to have any distractions so I can be more effective on the show, and that's what I want for now.
Yes.
If I sound crazy, just let me know, Sam, because I don't. They're making me seem like I'm fucking insane.
No, I think there might be like a misunderstanding with text or whatever versus like being something in person. Let's touch on this question here, and then we can wrap things up. And the essence of like what we're talking about is just use your own functioning gray matter. Like, we're going to learn. We're going to do what we do. You just do whatever you do, right? If you want to do something completely different and you think we're a fucking idiot, fucking awesome. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever. Like, what matters to me is people thinking for themselves and taking action that they believe, right? And not just because somebody else said so. I don't want you to do dick because I say something. I want you to use your brain. I want you to think for yourself, to understand the information you're seeing, and you make an intelligent, thoughtful consideration given your life's goals and what's important to you. That's what I want. That's what's most important to me, right? Will there be a V3 front end for Pulse? Yes, there will. That'll be the front end I'll be using more. Probably.
Can't Alex from Hejon just spin one up again?
Yup.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's why I'm confused.
That's already done. I was trying to say it without letting everyone know that Alex did it already.
Oh, I assumed he did. I would have.
It's on the test net already.
You can pretty much test it out right now if you want. We just are not pushing it out there like that.
Subject. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it.
I'll be happy to push V3. I'll be happy to push V3.
No, it's not there. Like, we don't want to push V3, but whatever. Since it's out there already, yes, there is a functioning front end for Pulsechain. So when Pulsechain launches, we will have V3 capabilities, just like we did with the forks. Just like
that's where I'll be going, guys. You guys can go to PulseX, but I'll be doing both probably. But just to see what PulseX is like, but V3 is just like the go. V3 is absolutely amazing. You want to wrap us up here, guys? Check out the links down below.
Wait, Bullish, do you have videos?
Well, I've been trying to render all morning, and it's like been acting up. So like, it's finally rendering now. So I don't have like the updated one, but it should be out like within the hour. The updated promo.
Guys, 62% of the BNBP is staked. 10% is the dev allocation, completely unsold. And 10% is for some other thing that I can't remember the exact verbiage for. Hey, Jack, don't you dare, Jack. Don't. Jack, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come on, man. 1 p.m. Eastern, Jack. 1 p.m. Eastern, bro. I need you, bro. You're the GOAT, bro. Hey, man, I hope you're doing well. Great to see you, brother. But I want you on at 1 p.m. Eastern, Jack. Come on, Jack. You wouldn't sneak into this chat. Jack! Sup, peeps? What up? Hey, so guys, hey, Jack, check this out. Jack, if you're not looking at the screen right now, that is very not cool. That's my Xen Crypto cutscene that Bullish put together that I've been using a lot in my solo streams.
He's aware of it. He approved it.
Oh, fantastic. Bullish, and that's good. That's good. 1 p.m. EST. That's 32 minutes, Jack. 32 minutes. I will shill. This is what God invented me for, Jack. 1 p.m. Eastern today. That's what it invented me for. That it all comes down to this, Jack. Let's talk, Jack. I got questions out the wazoo, technical questions, ethos questions, the whole 9 yards, Jack. Please come on, Jack. It's been so long, bro. Come on, I'm your broski. Anyway, guys, I don't want to. I'm just being an asshole now. I'm having a good time. So, everybody, Sam, have any closing words? Bullish, anything you want to say?
Check out Twitter down below. Appreciate you guys. Check out my channel if you want to see more of that in-depth discussion on LP. GRC also went live yesterday. We have a Sam Bankman video on my channel you can check out, who's the guy behind FTX. And yesterday, GRC did a video on Xen protocol on his channel. So if you want to see like other content besides this too, go check out the respective channels. Let us know what you think of the stuff. If you guys want to help out, like if you're like, oh, this is cool, I'd like to like help provide value or interesting stuff. One thing that would be tremendously helpful is clipping up videos, right? Clipping up videos and then shooting them to me or GRC or
just post them
Bullish.
just post them on Twitter. Just post them with it and just say this is why or whatever.
Yeah, and then if anyone wants for us to post them on the official Clips channel, just send them our way and I'll upload it and I'll make sure you get credit for.
Yeah, and we'll credit you for anything that you do, guys. We're just trying to spread and grow organic. Like I have never paid for any followers. I totally could at this point, and I just don't care because that's not the way I watch the other channels very closely. and I see what their follower growth looks like versus what the action on their channels looks like. And it's very inflated, you know, and I assume that because you can actually. So basically what I'm trying to do is for the first year or so, I'm going all organic because I got to see what I'm capable of. Like I got to see what YouTube's capable of. I don't want to add that in there because it adds a variable and then I can't understand what's going on. But once I have enough followers, I don't give a fuck. I'll pay whatever. So guys, have an amazing day. I'm going to play Hex B-Day finale, guys. San Diego. Are you kidding me? I'm starting to get excited for this and I don't even like do shit. And I think I might go. And if produce, actually, I think I might go. So guys, BNBP is holding 237% from launch and 63% of it is staked. BNBP pot.t/tm or whatever, t.me/BNBP pot. Jesus.
And just mark it on your calendars. October 11, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're doing a mega stream. We have a bunch of streamers from the Hex, Pulsechain, and Binance community who are going to be joining. So yeah, so look out for the final version coming out in about an hour with some updated info. But yeah, October 11, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna have a nice panel of streamers having fun, and we're gonna be playing some games.
Hey, could you help me by any chance set up the thumbnail for just with the GymRatCrypto show, but then you could just put Jack?
Yeah, I got you.
That would be awesome. I appreciate that. 1 p.m. Eastern. Jack, you see that? I didn't even check if you said yes. I'm assuming you said yes because I can feel it in my heart.
Yeah, he did. He's getting ready, he said.
The Lord is in my heart and the Lord is with you, sir. Okay. All right. I'm out. Guys, I'm being goofy today. Sam might be going live later. I'm pretty sure Ivan on Tech is going live with Richard Hart at some point. If I will be available. So if that's streaming at some point and it's not on Richard's channel, which I doubt it will be, I will be doing a live stream party on that. Because I need to see what Richard's thinking. Big time, man. Big time. And he's coming out. He's doing like 2 interviews next 2 days. And I think once today. Someone give me a time on that Ivan Tech as we close out, guys. Hex B-Day party. Everyone have a great day. Going to skip on DeFi Proof today just because we got to get to business on the 1 p.m. But I want to show everyone the Hex B-Day ad. Everyone have an amazing day. Crypto is amazing. Life is amazing. Do your best every single day. Wake up in the morning with purpose and a mission. No matter what that mission is, try your best at it, guys. Everyone have a great day.